All right, today we're jumping into a massive geopolitical event that has just sent some serious shockwaves through the global energy and mining markets. We're talking about Operation Absolute Resolve and what it means for some of the biggest companies out there.
Okay, let's dive right in. You've got to understand this one quote from President Trump. That's the starting gun for everything we're about to talk about. This isn't just talk. It's basically a green light for a massive, multi-billion-dollar corporate mobilization. I mean, the amount of money we're talking about here is just staggering.
So here's the game plan for today. First up, we'll look at the event that kicked this whole thing off. Then, we'll dive into the huge opportunities that are suddenly on the table for US oil and Canadian mining companies. After that, we're going to hit the brakes for a much-needed reality check on the risks involved before we wrap it all up with a clear look at who wins and what to watch out for.
So, let's start with the big one, the single event that flipped the entire script for Venezuela's massive natural resources.
This is the headline that changed absolutely everything. Look, grabbing Maduro wasn't just about politics. This was a full-on military operation that, poof, ended one regime and basically rolled out the red carpet for a whole new economic setup, with the US calling a lot of the shots.
And you have to realize, this didn't just happen out of the blue. You can see here, this has been building for a long time. I mean, we're going back almost 2 decades, from assets being seized way back in 2007 to the country's infrastructure just totally falling apart. Operation Absolute Resolve, well, that was just the final explosive chapter in a really long story.
So how does a political earthquake like this turn into a business opportunity? Well, let's start with American oil companies. We're talking about the huge, publicly traded giants that are basically lining up at the starting gate in this brand new landscape. Okay, so not everyone's starting on a level playing field here. You've got Chevron on one side. They cleverly kept a foot in the door this whole time, so they're ready to hit the ground running. Then on the other side, you've got Exxon and ConocoPhillips. They've been playing the long game, holding these massive legal awards that could suddenly turn into rights to huge new oil fields. 2 totally different playbooks, but both could lead to an insane payday. But it's not just about the big oil producers, you know? In any gold rush, the people who really make the money are the ones selling the picks and shovels. And in this modern gold rush, your picks and shovels guys are companies like SLB and Baker Hughes. They're the ones with the drills, the tech, the know-how to actually get the oil out. They're absolutely essential to making this whole rebuild happen.
And just to give you an idea of the scale of that picks and shovels play, let me throw a number at you. $100 billion. That's the estimated capital it's going to take just to get production back to 2 million barrels a day. That is a mind-boggling amount of cash, and a huge chunk of it is going to flow straight to those oil field service companies.
And hey, this opportunity doesn't just stop out in the oil fields. It flows all the way back to US refineries. Think about companies like Valero and PBF Energy. Their facilities are literally built to handle the kind of heavy, gunky crude that Venezuela has in spades. For years, sanctions meant they couldn't touch it. Now, it could be like opening the floodgates to cheap, perfect raw material. That's a game-changing advantage over your competitors.
All right, now let's shift our focus north, because this is not just an American story. The fallout from this is sparking what looks like a modern-day gold rush, and ground zero for that is all the way up in Canada on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So you might be asking, why Toronto? Well, it's simple. The TSX is the place to go for mining finance. It's the world's ATM for digging stuff out of the ground. So naturally, it's going to be the launch pad for anyone trying to get a piece of Venezuela's insane untapped mineral wealth.
And if you want a perfect poster child for this, look no further than a company called Gold Reserve. For years, this stock has basically been a bet on whether or not there would be a regime change. See, they hold this enormous legal claim for a gold project that was seized from them. With Maduro out of the picture, their chances of getting that project back or just getting a giant check have skyrocketed. It's the definition of a high-risk, high-reward play.
And it's not just about gold. Venezuela is sitting on a literal treasure chest of critical minerals that our modern tech can't live without. We're talking Coltan for all our electronics, and even Thorium, which is a potential next-gen nuclear fuel. The ones to watch here? The Canadian junior miners. These are the smaller, scrappier exploration companies that are expected to spearhead the rush into this wild mining arc to try and make these resources efficient.
And just like with oil, you can't just wish these minerals to market. You need infrastructure. That's where a company like WSP Global comes in. They're a huge Canadian engineering firm, and they are perfectly set up for this. I mean, you have to modernize the mines, build the roads, upgrade the ports. That's where the massive contracts are going to be.
Okay, I know, so far this all sounds like a massive, once-in-a-lifetime boom. But, and this is a big but, before anyone gets too excited, we need a serious reality check. The road ahead is absolutely packed with risks. And we're talking about two major hurdles. First, the security vacuum. Just because you remove a dictator doesn't mean you get instant peace and quiet. There's a huge risk of chaos from loyalist groups, local warlords, you name it. That's a direct threat to people and property on the ground. Second, and this might be the biggest deal breaker of all, is the legal side of things. Nobody is going to commit billions of dollars until a new government creates, passes, and proves it can enforce stable new laws for oil and mining. That's not just a quick signature on a document. It's about rebuilding trust in a system that's been broken for years, and that could take way longer than anyone thinks.
All right, let's wrap this up. What's the bottom line here? When you boil it all down, who are the key players and what's the real tension at the heart of this whole thing?
So this table here is basically your cheat sheet. It lays out all the potential big winners across every sector we've talked about. You've got the big US oil companies on the New York Stock Exchange, and then the Canadian mining and infrastructure players up on the TSX. These are the companies right in the middle of this potentially historic opportunity.
And that brings us to the final and most important question. Look, what we're watching unfold is, without a doubt, a generational opportunity, a chance to rebuild a country and unlock unbelievable wealth. But it's all happening in a nation that's been defined by chaos for decades. So the billion-dollar question for every single investor, for every company on that list is this: is the reward really worth the incredible risk?